Most people think studying 12 hours a day is about pushing your limits. It isn't. It's about removing the invisible friction your brain keeps reacting to all day without you noticing. Because burnout doesn't start when you're exhausted. It starts earlier, when your brain begins to anticipate exhaustion. And that prediction changes everything. Your focus drops before the work even gets hard. Your resistance shows up before you even begin, and simple tasks start to feel heavier than they should. So the problem isn't the 12 hours, it's how those 12 hours are interpreted. If your brain reads them as uncertain, endless, mentally expensive, it will fight you. But if it reads them as finite, structured, predictable, it will cooperate. That's the first layer, but not the deepest one. Your brain doesn't measure time the way you think. It measures strain per unit of time. 12 hours of low-friction, clearly defined work can feel easier than 4 hours of chaotic, cognitively expensive effort. That's why some people study all day and feel fine, while others burn out in a fraction of the time. It's not capacity, it's load management. And load comes from 3 hidden sources: decision-making, context switching, emotional resistance. If you don't control these, no schedule will save you. Let's break them. Decision-making. Every time you ask, what should I study next? Should I take a break? Am I doing enough? You're spending cognitive energy, not on learning, but on managing the process. And that cost compounds quietly, relentlessly. So advanced studying removes decisions before the day even starts. You don't sit down and think. You sit down and execute. Because a pre-decided plan doesn't just save time, it protects your mental bandwidth. Context switching. Your brain pays a penalty every time you shift focus. New subject, new format, new type of thinking, and the cost isn't immediate, which makes it dangerous. It shows up later as slower thinking, lower retention, and fatigue that doesn't feel earned, but accumulates anyway. So high-level studying minimizes switches. Longer blocks, deeper immersion, fewer transitions. Not because variety is bad, but because constant switching is expensive. Emotional resistance. This is the layer most people never see. If a task feels unclear, too difficult, or mentally uncomfortable, your brain doesn't just slow down, it starts pushing back. Not loudly, but through micro-resistance. Checking your phone, rereading the same line, losing focus every few minutes. That's not laziness. That's friction. So advanced studying removes that friction before it appears. You break tasks down until they feel executable. Not impressive, not ambitious. Executable. Now combine everything. A real 12-hour system doesn't look intense. It looks controlled. You wake up and there's no decision to make. You already know what you'll study in what order, for how long. Each block has a boundary, a beginning, an end. Your brain doesn't see an endless day. It sees manageable segments. And between those segments, you recover properly. Not scrolling, not half-resting. Actual disengagement. Because partial rest doesn't reset your brain, it just delays fatigue. And delayed fatigue always returns. Stronger. So your breaks are clean, intentional, non-negotiable. Now the final layer, the one almost everyone gets wrong. You never finish empty. Most people stop when they're completely drained, and that creates a problem. Your brain encodes the entire day as too much, and the next day it resists starting again. So you stop slightly early. Not because you're weak, but because you're training your brain. You leave with a small reserve of energy, a sense of control, a clean ending. And that changes the prediction for tomorrow. Because your brain doesn't ask, can we do 12 hours again? It asks, was yesterday safe enough to repeat? If the answer is yes, resistance drops. And that's how long study hours become consistent. Not through force, but through design. So don't try to become someone who can study 12 hours. Build a system where 12 hours no longer feels like something your brain needs to escape from. Because when there's nothing to escape, there's nothing to resist. And when there's no resistance, consistency stops being hard. It becomes your default.